So we'll see how it goes through the course of the week and as the rest of these guys progress through practice. Other than that, we'll just jump right into questions. We'll go from here.
All right, Larry, start us off.
Hi, Matt. How did Desmond look in practice yesterday? I know he was limited on the report. And how valuable is it to have him, particularly in this week, with as many times as he's played the Saints, and then if all goes well on the field as well on Sunday?
Yeah, he's got some great knowledge, obviously, of this team, and it's been fun to talk to him about this offense and some of the players that they have. So certainly that's been a big help so far. We're day by day as far as him and his health. It was good for him to get out there a little bit yesterday and do some stuff, and we'll evaluate it again today and kind of just see what it looks like as we get closer to the weekend. But certainly great to be able to talk about this offense with him. Obviously, with all of his experience that he's had against it, he's definitely got a lot of really good knowledge, which is awesome.
Chris.
Morning, Matt. How you doing?
Great.
I know you're well past last week's game, but I think this is something that probably carries over to every week because Marvin Jones' blocking really stood out in that game. Matthew mentioned it right after, and that seems to be one of his strengths pretty regularly. I guess sort of two parts then. What does he do really well in that area? And then how do you evaluate a wide receiver as a blocker?
Yeah, great conversation. I really think all those guys actually block really well. Or at least the effort is there. They are trying to do everything they can to help their guys downfield. Kenny, he did a great job in the game too. He had a couple big blocks. Danny, he does a lot of dirty work in there. I mean, he might even be in on the defensive end sometimes. If you really take a look at the film, he's doing a lot of different things down in there. So I think RP does a great job coaching those guys in that area and putting a point of emphasis on it. I think it's like a lot of things. If you emphasize it as a coach, you usually see it on the field, and I think that's something that happens with those guys. I think they do a great job of understanding that, wide receiver blocks may be a little bit different than offensive lineman blocks. They're not going to be so much drive blocks or in line. A lot of times it's different angles. It's, how do we take a good leverage approach and make sure that we, put ourselves in position based on the design run that we're going to be able to allow the back to cut off of us or, get downfield, use our feet to kind of cover a guy up if it's maybe a catch and run type of scenario with another skill player. So I think those guys, they understand all of those intricacies of what those look like when you get into open space and that blocking that's required. Certainly the biggest thing for us there is penalties. That's the one thing that we really make sure we emphasize on is good technique, hand placement, making sure that we're not doing anything that's already hurting usually what's a big play, downfield already and take it away with a penalty or something like that.
Dave?
Hey, Matt. Morning. I know these guys obviously have been one of the best teams in the NFL for a long time now, but I think you sort of get a question like this every time you face a 40-something-year-old quarterback, Rivers last year, Brady a couple years ago. Drew Brees' intended air yards are way down, like at the bottom of the NFL right now. Do you see anything different with the offense this year than years past? Is there age a factor? I don't know. How do you sort of evaluate what's going on with the offense right now?
Yeah, no, I would say absolutely not. I think you always look at quarterbacks that have been in the league for a long time or anything that shows up that's different, arm strength, mobility, what they're doing from a communication at the line of scrimmage standpoint, guys that are established like that. I've played against Drew Brees for a long time. I have the utmost respect for him and, his arm talent and his arm strength is still phenomenal. So I don't really read into all that stuff. Again, same as what we say about anything. We're 3 weeks into the season, coming up on 4 weeks into the season. All those stats and all those numbers are going to change by the time we get to week 14, 15, and everything's going to look different. So for us, we got to make sure that we just do a good job of trying to defend all the things that they do well, which is a lot. So he's certainly the point man for all that, and he does a great job. And he's going to be able to sling that thing downfield. There's no doubt. And then he's really smart. So sometimes I don't think anyone's going to argue with throwing the ball down to Kamara for 52-yard touchdown. I mean, the ball may have gone behind the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter. It's still 52 yards. That's a smart play by a smart player. So I don't really know how you criticize that.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brad?
Matt, I think you guys last week, for the first time in your tenure here, had multiple interceptions in a game. You saw what the Packers did last week in forcing turnovers and how much that changed the game. How much does it do for your defense and what you're trying to implement when especially two veterans that you've coached for a long time come up with those plays and make those interceptions early in a game against the team when you guys were really in need of a win?
Yeah, I mean, obviously turnovers is a huge part of the game, and the turnover ratio is critical, to all the game stats that go into it, extra possessions for either side of the ball, depending on which way it goes. And, that's something that our players know. It's something that we coach. And certainly we make, a lot of points of emphasis on tackling and turnovers. We work on it every single day, and sometimes they come in the form of interceptions. Early last year, I think we were one of the best teams in turning the ball over with fumbles. I think that there's always a point on that stuff that we are trying to coach and teach all of it, and sometimes it comes in bunches, which is great. Trying to use as a contagious, motivation is always good too. You want to carry that from week to week. I also think that sometimes when you go out there and you turn the ball or you get a lot of turnovers in a particular week, I think that's probably a big point of emphasis for the opponent's offense at that point. Like, hey, we got to do a great job with the ball. So they probably coach that a little bit harder during the course of the week. And that's just how it goes. But for us, obviously I thought that was great last week. I thought we needed it. And I thought those guys stepped up really big in those situations and kind of got it rolling. And certainly was great to see, some of our better players make those plays in those situations, and that's really what you hope happens, is that those guys that, have that confidence, those guys that have done it before so many times over and over and over, and they step up and they make another one. And, that's what it is to be a great player in this league. So we certainly, we want to see more of it, and hope we do.
Justin?
Hey, Matt, quickly first, just because I don't know if these things change with the pandemic, do you have to make a roster decision with Curse by Saturday at 4 like you would in a normal season?
Yeah, we'll have to make a roster decision here this week. Yep.
And then New Orleans' run defense is playing really well to start the year. I think it's 3.4 yards per carry. Going back to last week with Arizona, big run by Adrian to start the game. Then I think the next 20-something carries for your back, something like 2.4, 2.6 yards a carry, something like that. Can you just explain philosophically the importance of continuing to try to run the ball through the course of the game, even if it's maybe not working the way you want it to, as long as the score dictates it?
Yeah, and I think really sometimes the score doesn't even matter with that stuff too. If you can still kind of, put those runs in there and obviously keep the defense, offset there a little bit with the balance of an offense. Certainly, as a defensive coach, those games that you get into where the offense just abandons the run and now it becomes a complete pass game, and you're dialing up different pressures and looks and fronts and coverages, and you're just really making, you kind of open up the playbook at that point and can kind of go after a couple different things. When a team continues to run the ball, it does, put you in a little bit of a bind with some of those maybe pass defenses that you want to call in those situations, because you do have to have gap integrity, and you have to be able to have the right personnel on the field to stop those situations. And you certainly don't want to get hit with something that's a big play out of the run game too. So I think even all the way through the course of the game, and a lot of the games, especially here early in the season, the run game is critically important. It's a big part of what keeps an offense balanced and kind of keeps a defense trying to stay in between defending both, and that's really it's really important. The Saints, obviously they got a phenomenal front here. They got some guys up there that play the run extremely well, and they transition in the pass extremely well. Obviously Jordan and Davenport and Anyamata and certainly Malcolm Brown, who I know really well too. They do a great job of plugging that up inside. They play a lot of 5-down looks, and they're not going to let you run the ball. They're going to play stout up front, and they want to make you one-dimensional, because that's when they can, release that whole pass rush and get into their exotic blitzes and pressures and all the stuff that they do. So that's a big challenge for us.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
That's
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Yeah, two quick ones for you. First, I know much different quarterback this week than last week with Breeze and Murray, but both of them under 6 feet tall. I'm just curious, what the carryover is. Is there any benefit to your planning with clogging pass lanes and stuff for another quarterback under 6 feet?
Yeah, obviously different styles, I would say, from a quarterback perspective, and I think both of them obviously very efficient. I don't think the height part of it really matters. I think they've obviously been playing football for a long time, and whatever their whatever those measurements are, they have been. So I think those guys are obviously both great players. Drew Brees is, the way that he can see and get his eyes downfield, and his vision, along with his accuracy and, the efficiency which he throws the ball, it's phenomenal. He's a tremendous player. He's a great competitor, and, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So we got a huge challenge for, from that standpoint for us. And he works the pocket really well too. So I think that, in regards to the question that you asked, I think he does a great job of moving around the things that are happening with the pass rush and with his offensive linemen. I think they block in a certain way that gives him that mobility, and he makes the most out of all of it. So just really efficient player.
And then quickly, just on Taysom Hill, how difficult is that to prepare when they just out of nowhere bring in a package with a different quarterback and a different set of plays?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Sean's done a great job of, mixing that concept into the offense. And it's not just something where he's the only quarterback on the field. He'll be on the field in a bunch of different personnels. He's lined up all over the place. I mean, this guy is, his knowledge of the offense is pretty extensive, let alone special teams. I mean, wait till you see this guy in special teams. He's running down coverage units. I mean, he's just a football player. It's true. It's fun to watch when you're not playing him. I think that's enjoyable. But right now, this week, it's not so fun. We're trying to figure out what to do with him and where he's going to be and what alignments and how to stop him. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, absolutely.
Kyle.
Afternoon, Matt. Good to see you. We've talked a lot about Okudah. We've talked a lot less about Amani. I'm just curious. I mean, it looks like he's played, pretty well. I'm just curious your evaluations of him here in the early going.
Yeah, I think Amani came into camp really coming off of the end of last year where I thought he made a couple plays and had some confidence about, being out there and came into camp with that confidence and just, went to work and competed at a high level. I really think he did a great job of coming in shape and ready to go. Certainly, competition is what it's all about. And we play a lot of corners. We play a lot of defensive packages. So his opportunities have been, he's had those opportunities. And I think that through the first couple of games, he's had some tough coverage assignments and some tough situations that, some of them have been really good. And there's others that we got to work on and keep improving. But that's like everybody out on the field. He had a really big play at the end of the game in the backed up situation, on the kind of the out routes there. I thought he made a great read and drove on the ball. He's got great length. He's got great speed. And the more he, I think, plays, the more confidence he gets in all of that. And I think you see him make those plays. I think those things are just, on the horizon, which is great.
And just one more quick one for you. We haven't talked about Hunter Bryant in a couple of weeks. He was out there yesterday. He was out there once or twice last week. Yep. I'm not sure how much you're willing to say about the injury or where he's at with that, but just, the skill set that he has, how do you see that working into the mix when he is ready?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think what he did in training camp, what we saw in his skill set was something that we really liked and something that we think could help us win. I think he was gotten better as he was going through camp. Certainly, we wanted to have him out there, and we haven't. But he's working his way back, and we'll progress that as much as we can, through safely returning him to play, from that standpoint, and get back to that skill set of what he was showing us before he got hurt, because that was really good. We still got to work on some things and improve some things. There's a big jump from college to the NFL, but I really like where he was progressing to, and I think that he's a guy that gives us a tight end position that can do a lot of things. And when you get, especially the tight end position, with some multiplicity and variability behind it, it puts a lot of stress on the defense. So I think that'd be great for us.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
O'Hara.
Yeah, Coach, this is really a short one on Kenny Galladay. He played hard, played a full game, was able to come back and practice. How heartening was it that he got through that game unscathed and now can move forward?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, we're not going to put anybody on the field that's not healthy enough to play. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to be in a situation where, an injury might, put them out or have them in a setback. So I think it was good for us to get that under our belt and feel that, he's ready to go. And we know that there's some things that we got to continue to work on so he can improve, and, hasn't played football in a little bit. So the conditioning part of it was important for us to see and evaluate. And that was great. He was able to get through the game, and, hopefully we just keep building from there this week and going forward.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Mike.
Matt, you were talking about Trufant a little bit at the top. How do you, when he is able to come back, whether that's Sunday or after the bye, how do you go about making the decision of whether to play him or Amani or Okudah? Because there's really two spots for three guys.
Yeah. Well, I think for us, just in general terms, I mean, competition is what you want on your team every single week. And that's something that we thrive on. And guys got to go out and they got to work and they got to compete. So from that standpoint, we're going to play and put guys in position, whoever's going to help us win every single week. And, that is what it is. I think the good thing for us as far as the secondary is concerned, we play a lot of DBs. I mean, again, remember, like, the number one package on most NFL teams right now is sub, which is three corners. So all of those guys are out there playing, and we're going to have to use all that stuff and go forward. So we just, take it day by day with the competition out there. I mean, certainly Trufant's a great player. I mean, he's played in this league for a long time. So there's a little bit of that goes along with it, and we'll just compete and go, and hopefully everybody's ready to go. You want to be at your strongest when you play on Sunday. And, if that means that good players are pushing good players, that means that you can get better. So that's okay.
since you mentioned it, would you feel comfortable with one of those three guys in the slot? Because obviously maybe Justin Coleman comes back at some point too, but with Amani Okuda and Trufant, we haven't really seen them play there. Is that an area you feel like they're comfortable doing when you're sub packages?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the week too. Darryl Roberts, I think, has done a good job in there too. So, sometimes the slot position is a little bit more complicated week in, week out. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's pretty basic. Sometimes it's matchup based. Sometimes it depends who's in there too. So, we keep that all moving, keep it fluid from that standpoint, and just let those guys go compete.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, last question. We'll go Amy in New Orleans.
Yeah, Amy Jess from the New Orleans Times-Picayune. Obviously, the jury's still out on if Michael Thomas is going to play this week. And obviously, the reigning offensive player of the year is going to be a difference maker. But how much do you see things be different with him out versus with him in? Like, even though he's not getting the ball on every pass, he's still changing things up.
Yeah, I mean, again, any information you got in that category would be great for me. You can forward.
I got nothing.
That would be good. But I think that he's I have the utmost respect for Michael Thomas and what he can do on the field. And I think that his ability to line up in those different positions, inside, outside, certainly a go-to player for Drew Brees in certain situations. And, it's just proven over and over and over his ability to make those plays in third down, red area, big plays downfield. He's just a great player. I think that, again, the offense, Coach Payton has done a great job with Drew and making sure that the ball is put out there. And they have a lot of skilled players. Kamara obviously is phenomenal to get the ball to, and certainly Emmanuel Sanders is another outstanding player and Cook. So I don't really see any slowdown with the offense when he's not on the field from that standpoint. Obviously, it just adds another dimension of a dynamic playmaker when he is on the field. And certainly from an offensive perspective, you can see the growth that this offense, has gone through and will go through. And traditionally they do. And, it just continues to get better as the season goes. So when he gets added into the mix, it just really kind of makes things harder for the defense all the way across the board.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
Matt.
All right.
Matt.
Coach, thanks, Eamon. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.